Hello everyone, Storm 101 here. Today we'll be taking a look into some severe weather that's been going on for the rest of tonight or this evening, and we'll also be talking about tomorrow's severe weather threat. Let's first talk about what's going on right now. We have some severe weather ongoing. We actually did have a few tornadoes earlier in eastern North Dakota and even portions of western Minnesota. Just a few tornadoes. And we don't have any tornado warnings currently at the time of making this video, but we do have a pretty good cluster of storms going on across west central uh, Mississippi, not Mississippi, Minnesota there. And these here will be continuing to move pretty much to the southeast here. If we look at uh, the velocity here, we do have some strong winds in a couple of portions of these thunderstorms. Got one um, right over here, 47 mile per hour winds, and 30,000 feet up. This is not at the surface. Then you got 16 mile per hour winds there as well. So, and these are possible at the surface as well. So we're going to keep an eye on these storms here very closely here, and let's take a look to the SPC Outlook here for tonight. We got a slight risk for severe weather anywhere in southeastern North Dakota to eastern South Dakota, northern Iowa, most of Minnesota, far western upper Michigan, and even for central and northwestern Wisconsin. The tornado threat is there. We do have two areas of 5% probabilities. Got one across northern Wisconsin, and got another one back into where we have that line, squall line going on right now. Damage winds is also another threat, and hail should be staying back around the Dakotas in Minnesota and even northwestern Iowa as well. But let's move on tomorrow. Now, I expect this to look a little bit different tomorrow here. We do have a slight risk for severe weather anywhere from eastern Kansas into central Missouri here. The tornado threat, we don't really see a tornado threat at all for tomorrow, although I cannot rule out maybe an isolated tornado. Damage winds is there, and also there could be some hail in there as well. And you also got a pretty decent sized marginal risk out there. And this was updated earlier this afternoon, but the models have changed some. So let's take a look at some of the models here. And the area I'm really paying attention to is Missouri, Illinois, and even into eastern Kansas here, maybe even portions of Indiana. So this is the European model here. You can see here we got a pretty good squall line of storms here, like back into northern Illinois, into portions of Indiana, back into Illinois through central Missouri, into eastern Kansas there. If we move on to another frame that moves to the southeast, you could actually see your squall line continuing into Tennessee and Kentucky. More likely around that time, it should be under severe, more of strong thunderstorms than severe thunderstorms, and then uh, another part of that line going back into Oklahoma and Arkansas um, as well there. And we don't really have any ingredients I can show you guys for the European model here, but we do have other models as well. We'll just take a look into the HER model here. This is the 18Z run. So we're going to have some thunderstorm action a little bit early, late tonight across Illinois, and then some new thunderstorms will try to pop up here. And we're going to have to keep an eye on those there because you can see little storm clusters like these, which someone's been kind of indicating possibility for a couple of small cluster of storms early tomorrow morning into the afternoon. You can see here comes a little storm cluster right there that could produce possibility of damage winds, and here comes another cluster there. So we're going to keep an eye on those little clusters. Then, when we get into the evening hours, you can see here new storms start to form across the portions of Iowa, Missouri, Illinois, and even back into Kansas. You can see how they kind of increase into coverage. And this is not really an organized line of storms at all. Although we could see this becoming a little bit more of an organized line, which is possible at this time here. Let's take a look at a couple of ingredients. The one thing is for certain on this day here is the high lap rate values here. 700 to 500 millibars, I should say. And really anywhere above 7 degrees Celsius there, that's favorable for some severe weather. And you can see here, when it gets 8 and above, that's pretty high values there. It gets pretty high. And you can see here, we got values in 9 back into Iowa there, 9.4. But really, the main area for concern here is going to be across Missouri, eastern Kansas, into Illinois, and even into portions of Indiana. Let's get a sounding there, 9.1 degrees Celsius. That's very high. You can see here, it's going to be very windy at the surface there, as you can see there. Very strong winds there at the surface there. Cape is also pretty high, 4,500. If we kind of continue on there to the evening hours, and then your storms start to blow up there. And you still got some pretty high values into the nighttime hours, so definitely something to watch there. Another thing to keep, we're going to look into two other ingredients here, and that's mixed layer cape and surface spaced lift index. We'll also take a look at this Supercell Composite as well. And we're going to do that from the HER model, the NAM, and the NAM high res. We also do have I do have a map as well, which we'll take a look into that in just a moment. But let's go into the event here. You can see here, that's pretty much the peak time of heating, daytime heating there, pretty close to it, it'll pass. You got values 4,800 in a few areas, which is pretty high values, I gotta say. Let's go into Northern Missouri with 5,000, very high. There does seem the photograph looks alright for possibility for at least for a spit up tornado. You can see here Cape 6,500, which is pretty high number there. Let's go a little further east into central Illinois. Kind of a similar situation here. Again, strong winds to the surface here. But you can see here, this is your potential Cape here, and there's also a lot of buoyancy going on in the atmosphere. So really, um, the atmosphere is going to be very unstable here. Just by looking from the HER model, you can see here, and there's your squall line going on there as well. You know what? We're actually going to skip the surface space lift index. Just think about it because it's good. That could take a while. So we're just going to go back down to three things, and we'll take a look at Supercell Composite. Try to find the highest number there. See what it shows here. Supercell Composite is a combination of wind shear and cape. So here we go here with the HER model here. You actually can see there, it's actually showing very high values here. There's actually going to be a kind of a front nearby here. You can see here, it's actually showing extremely high values across western Kentucky, but just to be interested here, we'll take a look into that very quickly. Definitely looks like a pretty good environment there for supercell activity. Again, I don't think it's really going to happen to see supercells out there. You can see here kind of along the culprit there. You do have some pretty good values there. You can see with the analogs there could be some significant hail there. There's going to be a pretty good cold air aloft there, so it'll be favorable for some large hail there as well. If we kind of continue on from there, you can see those numbers really start to decrease as we get more and more into the night. Let's see what the NAM has to say with this here. So here's your squall line here. This is the 18th, so you got your squall line developing across central Illinois. Not so much away back into Missouri, although it seems like it comes back up. And you can see how it kind of continues into Kentucky, maybe even into Ohio as well. So, and again, when it kind of gets into Kentucky and Tennessee, it should be under severe limits. I think it'll be more of strong thunderstorms or just general thunderstorms when it gets into those areas there. We'll take a look into the lap rates here, which for the 12Z run, the storm, the models were acting like the storms were going to be a little bit worse, but in the 18Z runs for the models here, it doesn't seem to be that bad like they were. You can see here from the name here showing a little bit higher values with the lap rates there. That's 9.2 there. And you can see here the, the environment looking very unstable here. Equinox is way up there, so you can see very tall thunderstorms. 6,400 Cape there, so a pretty good environment there to see some severe weather, and you can see how that kind of continues on later to the night. As well, again, above a 7 there is favorable for some severe weather. Now let's look into the Supercell Composite here. Yeah, as you can see here, you can see pretty high values back to southern Iowa. That's where we have a cold front nearby. And showing a pretty good sounding here. You do have some low-level wind shear, 4,400 Cape. Your effective layer STP is actually a very high number, but I don't think we'll see significant tornadoes out there, in my opinion, although the environment does seem favorable for at least maybe a tornado out there. But you can see here's another hot spot, along the Illinois-Indiana state line there. The photograph's okay, at least favorable for possibility for a spin-up tornado. Although the Cape number is very high, with 7,100. So that's some pretty impressive Cape there. You can see how your numbers do decrease very quickly as we kind of get to later to the nighttime hours. And here's the latest NAM, the high-res NAM. You can see here, it puts its storms in a little bit of a different position here. Actually, kind of develops more to Missouri and central and southern Illinois, and actually it kind of moves it to a different direction here. So if the models start to trend towards the NAM nets, the forecast could change. But as of right now, I think the source will develop somewhere in this region right here, situated over Illinois, southeastern Iowa, and even northern Missouri, and just move southeast from there. Instead of, developing more into Missouri, Iowa, and even to Kansas, it kind of move a little bit more, eastward. So, but we're going to keep an eye on that. But either way, the environment is still going to be very unstable here. And this is looking to those lap rates here. We're going to have to let that load there. And as you can see here, not as high as what the other models were showing, but you still got some pretty healthy values still. Here, again, like I said, over a 7 is favorable for some severe weather. You can tell here, it's still a favorable environment. You're also going to get some spots here and there with some, high values there, especially near the squall line, like right there, a 9.4. You can see you're not really going to get a good sounding because that's right by the storms. But again, there you can see there still some pretty high values there. If we take a look to how much cape there could be there in like the mixed layer cape. And as you can see here, it's actually seems to be the highest out of everybody. With cape values 5,200, which I just realized that I forgot to show you guys the cape values from the NAMP, but they're still very high though, so I still remember. Also to note, it's going to be, the dew points are also going to be pretty high. You can see as high as 80 with 90 as a temperature of 90 degrees and a dew point of 80. Your heat index values are actually going to be pretty high. Well, not that high. Upper not more likely maybe low hundreds there in a few areas. So we could probably see a lot of heat going on out there. It could be a very hot day tomorrow. You can see here how your squall line continues to move eastward there as well. And here's the Supercell Composite here. And as you can see here, it's showing some pretty low values here, especially kind of along the squall line here. Well, actually along squall line, you still got some decent values. I mean, a 10. So we'll get that there. You actually do get some damaging winds at the surface there. You got some pretty good low level shear. And the photograph does seems to be a favorable environment for at least for a spin of tornado. But there's also another hot spot out there. That's across western Kentucky. But again, I have some doubts that we'll see supercells out into western Kentucky. And I believe that's due to a front in this region here. But we'll keep an eye on that area there as well. So I've already posted this on my Twitter here. This is my day 2 severe weather outlook here. You can see here I do have a slight risk for severe weather, anywhere from east central Kansas into central Missouri, central Illinois, and even into central Indiana as well. This is an area that could be environment for at least maybe some large hail, damaging winds, which could be significant there. But since looking into the latest update from the models, the winds may not get to that territory there. And I've done this from the 12Z run, so. And the models that we're looking at was for 18Z run, except for the European model, that was the 12Z run. And there will also be possibility for a couple spin-up tornadoes out there, so the tornado percentage is at 2% there. But you can also notice there are pretty large marginal risk area because we don't really know how long these storms here, at least the severe weather risk, will last here. So really anybody really in the marginal risk area still have a chance for severe weather, just a little bit lower end, but the highest chance for an IC is in a slight risk region. But anyways, guys, this is all for you guys today. Hope you guys did enjoy this severe weather forecast video. If you guys like this video, hit the like button. If you really do like my channel, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell notifications so you're never miss an upload. If you guys have questions about this, you can put a comment section down below. I'll answer your guys' questions. I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.